As of late, Bryan, a judge on American Idol, has been suffering with complications related to his health. It has even been visible during the performances he gives during concerts. In the time that has passed since then, it has been reported that another celebrity will be working with him and taking his place. Bryan, recently, concert gurus received refunds, and in the state of Arkansas, Bryan is a well-known figure in the country music industry who began his career in the early 2000s. In addition to being recognized as one of the most successful musicians of his day, Bryan has also made a name for himself as a television personality. Fans have been able to observe him in his role as a judge on American Idol since the year 2018. In addition to his work as a judge, in which he assists vocalists in pursuing their own musical goals, Bryan continues to entertain audiences with his own performances. As a result of this, Bryan has recently been experiencing some difficulties with his current show. In accordance with what was previously reported, Bryan is currently on his country song Came On tour. Nevertheless, he has encountered a few problems when performing his presentations. During the course of a performance in Arkansas, he experienced a moment of vocal loss on stage. He informed those who had purchased tickets that they would receive a refund as he continued to perform at the time, which was to the delight of the audience. Bryan revealed the following at the time. "So I'm going to get serious with y'all. One of the most peculiar things I've ever had to deal with in my entire life is this. Because of some unknown reason, I am unable to use my voice in this setting." According to Country Rebel, Bryan was scheduled to perform as the headlining act at 3 distinct festivals in the near future. This featured the Country Stampede, which took place in Kansas on Thursday, and Igor's Gallon Days, which took place on Friday, and Country Jam Colorado, which took place on Saturday. On the other hand, Bryan disclosed on social media that he would not be able to participate in these concerts going forward. On the other hand, he disclosed that he already had a replacement in mind, and that substitute is yet another country music artist. It was revealed by the judge of American Idol that another country music superstar will be taking his place. On the X, first and foremost, Bryan expressed his regret by saying, "I'm really sorry to say that due to my ongoing illness, I won't be able to play this weekend's shows. I had been attempting to organize a rally, but my voice is simply not yet ready to be heard." The judge on American Idol then revealed the identity of the person who will take his place. He followed by saying, "Huge thanks to my friend at Eric Church for stepping in at the last minute. And of course, putting on a kick-ass show like he always does." Eric Church is also a well-known figure in the world of country music, with songs such as Guys Like Me, Love Your Love the Most, and Hell on the Heart among his most famous works. Church has a history with Bryan that dates back to the past. The two of them had previously been featured on the tune The Only Way I Know by Jason Aldean. The conversation came to a close with Bryan saying, "Sitting still is not what I do best, so I can't wait to be back within the next few days." My love to you all. Luke, have you been keeping up with this story? Is the prospect of seeing Eric Church play at these forthcoming events anything that excites you? Make it a habit to return to TV shows Ace for the most recent information regarding reality television and celebrity news. The coffee cup was still on the desk, ring of caramel color halfway down, lipstick of cinnamon along the rim. When the news finally reached the stage floor, nobody moved it. In the cathedral brightness of the studio, where every chair has a spotlight and every pause is a drum roll, that paper cup became the most important prop in the room. A sign, a placeholder. Proof that a person had intended to be here until life insisted otherwise. 5 to executive. Someone said over comms, the voice calm because it had to be. Calm because calm is what keeps cables from snarling and people from unraveling. Copy, came 3 voices back, like a chorus that already knew the harmony. They known something was off since morning. Luke usually arrived like sunrise, uncomplicated, warm, hat tipped at an angle that said I remember the county fair and the nosebleed seats. He had a way of breaking tension with a shoulder squeeze or a dumb joke about stage fog. Today, his dressing room doors stayed closed, and text threads got strangely quiet. Then the message. He's headed to the hospital. It's serious. Nothing more, nothing less, just enough to wipe the gloss off the day. The crew adjusted. They always do. The floor manager gave new marks. The jib-op traced different routes. A PA collected the blue Sharpies Luke favored for signing Polaroids. The other judges' chairs were set forward 2 inches, a small optical trick that cost nothing and disguised the absence by making the table feel like it had always been 2, not 3. But the empty space had agency. It breathed. Lionel Richie rolled through first, clasping every hand he could find. He hugged the lighting director and the guy who wheels out the mic stands. He prayed with a grip that said, "I'm not going anywhere." Carrie arrived with mascara that could survive a hurricane and lips pressed into a firm, practiced line. The one she wears when the job is to be steady. They both looked at the third chair without looking like they were looking. This is a skill television gives you. Sightlines that tell the truth without broadcasting pain. And then the door at stage left opened, and the temporary judge stepped in. They hadn't announced who it would be, only that it would be someone who knows the room. The internet demanded names, alumni and legends and producers with records on your mom's shelf. But the producers chose a figure who rarely sat in front of a camera. June Hart, a Nashville songwriter with a half-dozen once in the posture of someone who spent most of her life on a piano bench. She wore black in kindness and a ring made of rough-cut stone. She paused at the edge of the light and bowed her head as if entering a church. "I'm not here to replace Luke," she said to no one and to everyone. "I'm here to hold his chair." That line, unrehearsed, perfect, changed the oxygen in the room. Fiction has a way of filling in what facts leave blank. So in this story, the facts are respectful. Luke is ill, seriously, the kind of serious that makes jokes into relics. Doctors say rest and quiet. The show says, "We got you." America says it too, in the ragtag way America does, prayers and playlists, and a prayerful playlist of his songs streamed on loop. If you've never worked on a live show, the closest experience is a wedding where the bride's cousin sprains an ankle, and you must rewrite the seating chart while the string quartet keeps playing. You move pieces around and pretend it was always like this. You write new intros on note cards with shaky hearts drawn in the margins. You redefine normal minute by minute until the audience believes it. Backstage, a contestant named Miles draws a breath that doesn't go down. He's 19, tall in the raw way tallness gets when it happens overnight, and he came here with a voice like a Sunday hat, showy but respectable. He loved Luke most because Luke would lean in and say things like, "Man, there's a summer night chorus buried in your bridge, let's go dig it out," and then laugh like they were about to steal a tractor. Miles had planned to sing one of Luke's hits tonight, a wink, a thank you. Now that felt like bringing a cake to a house without electricity. He rehearsed anyway. June sat with him, tapping the tempo on her thigh. "Do it your way," she said. "Don't imitate a man who can't be imitated. Sound like the thank you, not the echo." He nodded. He thought that was a beautiful sentence until he tried to do it. Beautiful is harder than people think. Meanwhile, Carrie slid into mentored gear with the clean click of a safety belt. She adjusted a mic height with maternal precision. "You'll stand taller when you believe the top note won't run from you," she told a finalist with saucer eyes. Lionel blessed someone's guitar like a priest with a chalice. The band played verses twice because the first time felt like grief, and the second time felt like music again. The audience filed in, unaware they were about to witness a new kind of episode. They wore sequins and church clothes, and the incredulous expressions of people who still can't believe you can walk into a building and come out changed because some strangers sang at you. The producer in the control room rubbed his temples, a habit inherited from 3 bosses ago. "Let's leave Luke's lower third ready," he said into his headset. "We'll use a graphic at the top to explain, then we don't say his name every 5 minutes. The moments will speak." He believed in moments. It's how he'd survived 2 decades of television. You can build a season out of them if you stack them gently. Top of show. Theme sting. The audience whoops with that first bite of cotton candy sound. The host steps out with a different tone. No more carnival marker, more Big Brother with a steady hand. "Tonight, our friend Bryan isn't with us," he says. "He's resting and recovering. We love him. We miss him. We're saving his chair. Please welcome June Hart." No suspense, just a gate opening to a path you can walk without catching your heel. June doesn't wave. She rests her palm on the back of Luke's chair, a small devotional touch, then takes her own. The camera gives the audience the cup on the desk, one quick cut, a human beat, and then the first contestant walks out into the new world. Miles goes third. It's always the hardest slot because the opening adrenaline drops and the room recalibrates. The band slides from neutral into his key like a careful driver merging at dusk. He looks toward the chair that should hold a hat and finds instead a woman in black who is, somehow, not a stranger. He sings a Luke song anyway. It doesn't sound like the radio. It sounds like a kitchen with the lights off, a voice figuring out its own shape in the glass door of the oven. He drops the key half a step from where he rehearsed it, because the truth is sometimes lower than you planned. The second verse stumbles, but the chorus blooms. He finds that summer night line his mentor promised. On the last repeat, He doesn't reach for the money note. He lays it down like an offering. When the crowd rises, it isn't for pitch or pyrotechnics. It's for courage. Carrie has a hand over her mouth like she's keeping a secret from her own tears. Lionel wipes his eye boldly, the way men do when they want you to see the salt and know it's real. June leans into her mic. "Honey," she says, her voice weathered and warm. "There's two ways to sing a song somebody you love made famous. You can try to wear their suit, or you can set a place at your own table and invite them to sit. You did the second. That's hospitality, not imitation." The room exhales like a school of fish changing direction. Hospitality. It's the word they didn't know they needed. Halfway through the episode, the show stops moving like television and starts moving like a porch. Contestants tell stories about the first time they heard Luke on the radio, about driving with windows down and problems up, about living rooms where families stopped doing dishes because a chorus climbed the stairs. The producers don't milk it. They pour just enough to taste. At the break, the floor goes quiet in that precise way a room goes quiet when crew members need to think. Carrie slips off her heels and stands in bare feet like tree roots. "He's going to hate that I'm barefoot on camera," she says, laughing. "But my mama heart refuses to wobble tonight." Lionel grins. "Girl, if wobbling were a genre, we'd both have Grammys in it." June disappears for a moment and returns with a post-it. She sticks it on the edge of Luke's monitor. "Write it down while the feelings speak English." It's not for him, exactly. It's for anyone who glances that way and needs a reason to keep their heart open. Somewhere between segment 6 and 7, the control room tech flips to a feed they never use, the one from the camera hung high in the rafters, wide as memory. The stage looks small from up there, and the audience looks like a single breathing animal. He thinks about Luke's laugh and June's ring, and the way Lionel always spots a crumble before it happens, and how Carrie can hold a note like she's holding your hand across the street. He cues the music back in with an ache he can't categorize. Maybe that's the story's point. Not every ache needs a label. No one says vote with teeth tonight. They say it soft, the way you asked for help when you've learned to stop pretending you don't need any. The results will be numbers, but the night isn't. The night is an invisible quilt stitched by strangers who sat together without knowing each other's mother's maiden names and somehow left warmer. There's a tradition at the end of tapes like this one. When the applause has faded to chatter, and the audience realizes they were part of a thing that won't be duplicated, someone in the upper rows starts a song. It's never the show's theme. It's never the contestant's single. It's always something older, something borrowed from road trips and kitchens. Tonight, spontaneously, the balcony finds the chorus of Drink a Beer. It starts off-key, guilty as sin, and tumbles down the aisles like a mess that became a sacrament. The band catches up. Lionel glances up and smiles with all his teeth. Carrie mouths the words, then doesn't. Respect is knowing when your famous voice is the least important one in the room. June closes her eyes. The cameras are off. This is for them. Backstage, where light is practical and floors squeak, a PA answers a call. The crew watches her face for news like sailors watch a barometer. She nods. She doesn't cry because duty has its own dignity. "He's stable," she says, a phrase more beautiful than most songs. He asked if the hat looked lonely. Everyone laughs, the audible kind that makes shoulders loosen. They send him a photo of the chair and the cup and the post-it, and June's ringed hand resting for a second on the edge of his monitor. They take the photo from the high angle, the rafters camera, so it includes the shape of the room he loves. The caption is simple: "We held your seat. Come back when you're ready." A week later, a rumor says he might call in for 30 seconds on speakerphone. The staff debates if that's wise. The senior producer says, let's not turn his breath into a cliffhanger. They wait. They keep waiting. The show survives on waiting, on the idea that patience isn't just a virtue. It's a craft. Ratings hold, not because people love drama, but because people love when humanity sneaks past the guards. Sponsors stay. Not because their logos look best under hot lights, but because somebody in a boardroom felt their chest loosen at a teenager's chorus. Miles advances, barely fiercely, and writes a little note on his own mirror. "Thank you for not making me pretend this was easy." June returns once more, then twice, then not again. She was never meant to become a fixture. She was meant to be a hinge. Seasons turn on hinges. And when in this imagined telling, Luke finally walks back through the same stage door that swallowed him, he doesn't do it with a confetti cannon. He does it with a careful step and a nod to the riggers and a fresh coffee cup that looks exactly like the old one. The audience stands without being told. The judges stay seated because sometimes the most respectful place to be is not above, but beside. He touches the third chair the way June touched it, palm flat, blessing or promise, who could say? The show doesn't make a speech of him. The show is smarter than that now. It simply adjusts its sight lines and carries on, like a family that has learned how to add a leaf to the table. Later, long after the last camera sleeps, the cup goes missing. Someone saved it, not for eBay. For a shelf in a quiet office, where post-its live and stories get outlined and stubborn hope is rationed out for long days. That's where the cup belongs, in the archive of things that once held warmth, and were kept because the warmth mattered. Some episodes are built to be rewatched. This one is built to be remembered, softly, without the urgency of headlines, with the gentleness of an evening you survived together. Folks will say it was the night Idol proved it could endure an absence. The crew will say it was the night they learned endurance and tenderness can be the same skill. The contestants will say it was the night music felt heavier and kinder than they realized. And if you ask June Hart, she'll say it like a songwriter, because that's her only honest vocabulary. It was a bridge, she'll tell you. Not the chorus, not the verse. Just the part that got us from what we knew to what we could carry.